Hi everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Today we're doing another comparison, this time between the 2023 Nissan Frontier and the 2023 Honda Ridgeline to see if we can give you the information to determine which truck is better for you. So let's talk about some of the chief differences right off the bat. Obviously, two very different trucks in a lot of different ways, and depending on your situation, well, might determine which one you really want more so than the other. Interesting thing here, the Ridgeline used to be available with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, and as of 2021, the Ridgeline now offers all-wheel drive as standard, so that's your only option. However, with the frame-on-body as opposed to unibody, the frame-on-body Frontier is available with rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. So depending on your situation, well, that might be a determining factor. So you have a few more capabilities where that is concerned. And how about base price? Well, with the Frontier, if you go with the base model that does not have a crew cab, it has more of an extended cab version, you're looking at $29,770. If you go with the crew cab version, similar to what we have, or like we had today, I should say, you're looking at $39,100. And from this point of view, it's pretty easy to see the differences in the body lines. Both pretty boxy looking, but I would say that the Frontier maybe has a little bit more of a squared off look overall than does the Ridgeline. Although, again, in 2021, when there was a refresh for the Ridgeline, we saw the front end gain a more boxy look, a little bit more squared off from the A-pillar forward. This is the A-pillar right here, in case you didn't know. Forward, it's not as sloped as it used to be, so really meant to make it look a little more truck-like. You will also find aggressive-looking front ends on both, but if I had to say which one has the more aggressive look to it, well, in my personal opinion, it would be the Frontier. But you know what? That's really in the eye of the owner. Best way to put it, I guess. Now you will notice that both have fog lights on the lower portion of the front end, a little bit higher up on the Frontier than we do on the Ridgeline, but still a nice look with both. But one thing that you'll find here, even though there are some significant differences, is the fact that there is one available powertrain for both models. Let's talk about that. When it comes to the powertrain, both models do have a 9-speed automatic transmission, but with the Honda we have the 3.5-liter VTEC Honda V6. It makes 280 horsepower and 262 pounds-feet of torque. How about MPGs? Just to give a comparison on these two models, let's see if I can get in this position where I can actually see it. 18 city, 24 highway, and 21 combined. Under the hood of the Frontier is the 3.8-liter V6 from Nissan. It makes 310 horsepower, so we're going to make 30 more horsepower here. 281 pounds-feet of torque, like I said, mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission for both models. Ironically, MPGs are the same, 18 city, 24 highway. And for you mid-sized truck owners out there, most likely you're going to want to do some towing and some hauling. So let's talk about the differences where these two trucks are concerned. Up to 5,000 pounds towing capacity with the Ridgeline, 6,230 up to 6,720 with the Nissan Frontier. Max payload for the Ridgeline, 1,583 pounds. And depending on the version and how it's configured of the Frontier, 1,175 pounds up to a maximum, quite impressive, 1,697 pounds. It does have a dampened tailgate, as you can see, and you can see some of the accessories within the bed. There are several tie downs, obviously. Power outlet located here, as well as the ability to tie things down with the bed right there. Areas up on the top, something we don't really see with the Ridgeline, and that's pretty much it here as far as this goes. There is a reasonable amount of space back here, but these two trucks do separate each other apart in a few different ways from one another, and the beds are definitely one area where that goes with the two. So here with the Ridgeline, you can open the tailgate in a conventional way. But if you wanted to reach deeper into the bed, than what you can do from right here, depending on your height with the Frontier, well, you're pretty much limited to either having longer arms or having to just go ahead and hop into the bed, something like that. Here with the Ridgeline, you don't have to worry about that so much because you have the dual action tailgate, and so that allows you to reach a little further in. You will find in-bed lighting, and depending on trim level, you can have in-bed audio. You will also find multiple tie downs here as well. Now, we won't find the tie downs in this area like we do on the Frontier. Is that something you would like to see on the Ridgeline in the future? And this model may not have everything here just because it's a lower trim level, but I had to work with what was available in inventory today. But you can see you do have storage right there. You can also have a power outlet as well. So quite a few options available that aren't necessarily here, but those are the big differences between the two. Well, there is one more thing that the Ridgeline has that the Frontier does not, and that is going to be the bed trunk. And the bed trunk is a great multitasker because you can store things here. You can put ice in this area and just have one large area for snacks and drinks. You can also buy partitions that go right here and section it off into 4 different areas and do the same thing, but then it gives more options. You can also use the built-in drain plug that's going to be in these Ridgeline trucks, no matter the trim level, to drain the water once everything melts down. And you will find that the spare tire is located in this area as well, and all the tools to change that, just in case you were curious about the differences. And with the Frontier, there's still a spare tire. It's just located in more of a conventional truck style location underneath the rear of the truck or the bed. And taking a look into the back seat area, we'll start off here with the Ridgeline. You will find cup holders and a comfortable armrest for your rear seat passengers. Now, there's not really a built-in door bin here in the traditional spot. Tell me what you think about that. That's why you have the cup holder and a little bit of storage right there. And then we can also put both sides of the seats up. I'm just going to do one side just for the sake of the video today, but you can do that. The fold-down armrest is here with the cup holders built in. I do like the fact that the cup holders are in the location where they are, and here's why. When rear seat passengers take advantage of one or both of those cup holders, they can still put their arms up here and use this area as an armrest. And this particular model does not have a sunroof, but a conventional size sunroof is available based on trim level. And then we're going to find air conditioning vents back here. And again, based on trim level, you will find USB ports down here in this area as well. We're going to find some rear seat storage right here with the rear seat pockets to round things off. There is a lot of space back here, by the way. A lot of leg room, plenty of headroom. Let's see here. We'll turn the camera around, get the sunglasses off the top of my head. At 5'10", there you go. That's how much space I have above my head. I am sitting straight up, so I have a lot of room left to go. And for those who have rear seat passengers who insist on a door bin, well, they're going to have to sit in the Frontier and not the Ridgeline, because you do have a door bin right here. A good sized bottle holder there and a little bit of space behind. Comfortable armrests, and I don't know if I can do this one-handed. I don't think so. And it turns out I'm not that talented. But as you can see, you can use the lever right here, and that allows you to put the seats up, the seat cushions up here. Now, I will say that the difference between the two is that the Ridgeline seats, when you put them up like this, they're at more of a 90-degree angle. So you do have a little bit more space where that's concerned. Just something to think about where all of that is concerned. You do have space underneath the seats in both models, so that is convenient to know. And we'll get this out of the way. There we go. Now that's out of the way. You will find the same rear seat pockets back here, and I have actually never done a video with one of these Frontiers before, but guess what? You do have a similar setup here where even when this area right here that folds down, the armrest with the cup holders built in, when bottles are in here, well, this is a little bit larger area, it's still available as an armrest. Now, you do have the grab handles right here, but one thing is missing back here, and that is air conditioning vents. So if that's important, well, you have to make your choice accordingly. But you do have, like I said, based on trim level, the Ridgeline will offer USB options, but you also have the power outlet in the case of the Frontier, and something else that this Frontier has that, like I said, was available with the Ridgeline is going to be the conventional size sunroof. So who wins out on having the biggest gas tank? Well, 19.5 gallons is what we'll find here with the Ridgeline for the gas tank size. If you want the larger, you'll have to go with the 21-gallon gas tank with the Frontier. And when it comes to the interior of the Ridgeline, well, you can see how everything is laid out here. Now, you will find the controls for controlling the power side view mirrors right here. You can go into Econ mode right there. It does have a tilt and telescopically adjustable steering wheel. There are your steering wheel mounted controls, and you can work your way through the 9-speed automatic transmission with the shifter paddles if so desired. There are multiple driving modes, and you can use the push button shifter right here to go through those. Let's go through those modes and just see what's there. We have normal, snow, mud, and sand, and then we have drive. And then down there at the bottom of the screen, you can also see S. That's going to be sport mode. Some people call it sequential mode, but it's really sport mode. And a difference you're most certainly going to see will be the touch screen. This one's very easy to use, no big deal there. It just maybe not as big, but you know, not everyone's worried about having the biggest touch screen possible, but some are. It's just up to you, it's your preference. But multi-view rear view camera in this case. This is going to be standard across all trim levels of the Honda Ridgeline, at least as of 2023. Dual zone climate control. Now, one thing that will be different is the location of the button to start and stop the engine. With the Ridgeline, it's right here. It's going to be a little further over, as you'll see shortly with the Frontier. You'll also find your connectivity options right here. There is a wireless charging pad that depends on trim level. And one thing that will be a big difference, number one, we're going to have the armrests right here, but also the design of the center console. Now, there is plenty of space within this area in the Ridgeline. You will also find more connectivity options down there. And a very similar layout, at least it looks different here with the Frontier. Now, you will find the control for the side view mirrors right here instead of in this area. You can see what else we have up here. And here is the instrument cluster. Which one do you think looks more modern out of the Ridgeline and the Frontier? Curious to know what you think about that. Here are your steering wheel mounted controls. But the biggest difference in the interior, at least one of the big differences, is going to be the infotainment screen. I'm pretty sure most people are going to say they like this one more. Everybody has their personal preferences, as I said earlier in the video. So depending on who you are and what you like, well, that's going to determine which one you choose. Both equally pretty simple to use. If I had to rank one as being easier than the other, well, it would probably have to be the Ridgeline, although I'm just not as used to this, as this is the first Frontier I've ever actually done. Now, you do have built-in navigation, so you know that is here. It's easy to get back to where you need to be. You have your buttons right there, and these are physical buttons. That's one thing that is going to be different where that's concerned. Controls for the radio. And while you do have a knob for controlling the volume and turning the radio on and off, you have the same here. You can also adjust your stations, and we'll have dual zone climate control. That is a good thing, and you can see what all is here. This is a little bit of a higher trim level. We have the heated steering wheel here. I dare not leave that on because, well, we don't need that today. But you can see what you have with everything. And depending on trim level, you'll see some of these same features on the Ridgeline. But one thing that is different is you don't have a push button shifter with the Frontier. You have a more traditional style shifter here for the center console. And here is the wireless charging pad. And then again, like I said earlier, differences. You don't have armrests here because you have a center console lid that sits high enough to use that as an armrest for the driver and the passenger. And then here is what we have within the interior. Now, I will say that the overall interior storage space of the center console, well, that's going to be won by the Ridgeline, a little more space, but you definitely have a little more advantage with a taller center console overall. And just a quick look at the dash here before we head out on our test drives. And before we go out on our test drives, dare I forget to show you the differences here with the camera views that you have. The overhead view, there's your rear view camera. So there's a lot going on here. You don't have an overhead view yet with the Ridgeline. We may see that in the future. I really expect that to happen. Very similar to what we've seen with the 2023 version of the Honda Pilot. But just to show you the difference between the two, both very clear, but you don't have that overhead view from this vantage point with the Ridgeline. And one more thing before the test drives begin that I did want to show you, because I know a lot of you like to know about it, the remotes. Basically the same functionality, just a completely different look. Both have remote start, so pretty much the same thing, but they are unique to one another as far as the trucks themselves go. That's a good thing, just because you want your vehicle to be set apart from everybody else's. Okay, we're going to start our test drive portion of the video out with the Ridgeline. A very comfortable ride quality, probably the best in class. You have the independent rear suspension that definitely makes a difference where all of that is concerned. It definitely gets around without any trouble whatsoever. Now you do have less horsepower here, but at the same time, I don't know that the Ridgeline is really suffering to get down the road, or struggling, I should say, is probably the best thing to say. It will be interesting to see the comparison between the two because of the fact that, well, like I say, I haven't driven the Frontier yet. We're going to change that here in just a few minutes. But one way or another, plenty of interior space, very comfortable ride quality, very comfortable seats. You have plenty of room here in the front seat. Seems to be the same way in the back, even though I haven't ridden in the back seat of the Ridgeline. Technology is easy to use. And overall, an easily maneuverable truck as far as getting around. But I am very curious to see what the differences will be between the two. Wondering about ride quality more than anything else. See if I'll be able to tell the difference when I need to get up to speed with the Frontier compared to this Ridgeline. I know the Ridgeline gets down the road with no problem with this VTEC V6 under the hood. Now I will say, pretty sure it's going to be 2025 when we see a fully redesigned Ridgeline. It will likely have the same dual overhead cam version of the Honda V6 that the Pilot has, the new generation Pilot that debuted for the 2023 model year. That engine is actually more responsive, but it's also mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission compared to a 9-speed as we have in this case. Okay, we're going out for the test drive with the Frontier now, and as expected, the ride quality, well, the win is definitely going to go to the Ridgeline. And for those who say, you know what, a truck is supposed to have a stiff ride quality, and it's not bad here, it's not just going to beat you to death or anything like that, but you can definitely tell the difference between the two as far as which truck has the smoother ride. You still have plenty of interior space here for the driver and the passengers, at least based on what I've experienced so far. Definitely sitting here in the front seat and driving along, well, I'm very comfortable as far as that goes. The handling of both trucks is very good. Pretty tight turning radius for a mid-sized truck, I would say. But the biggest difference of all is going to be if we can do it, which unfortunately we can't. We just don't have a place. But in a drag race, well, not only because of horsepower and torque, those overall numbers being higher for the Nissan Frontier, but I'll tell you what, there's really no comparison between the two when it comes to acceleration. The Frontier definitely accelerates much better than does the Ridgeline. And that's not a knock on the Ridgeline. It's just the way that it is. That's my experience overall. If you're looking for something that's more truck-like, well, then I'd say that the Nissan Frontier is definitely your best choice. If you're looking for something that has the ability to haul and tow, nothing major, but you can still get the job done as you need to, but you would like a good, nice ride quality, comfortable, still going to have the truck-like features, but you're also going to have kind of a car-like ride quality and still good technology, all that stuff here. Well, the Ridgeline would be more along the lines of your choice. Now, if you live in an area where you're going to do a lot of off-roading, yeah, hands down, obviously the Frontier wins. But I'm pretty sure that Ridgeline owners can probably testify to the fact that they can still do some off-roading with their Ridgeline. It gets around pretty good in the snow, especially when you have standard all-wheel drive. You also have that snow mode. So There are definitely advantages in both directions, and depending on who you are, there's disadvantages in both directions. It's just a matter of choosing which one you like most and which truck, well, basically offers the majority of what you're looking for. Okay, it's time for you to tell me what you think. Which truck do you prefer? Maybe there's some features you'd like to see interchanged between the two, but I'm curious to know which one you like most. Maybe you own one, maybe you've owned both of these models at different points, and you can say, here is which one I like more than the other, or maybe there's just different features that, like I say, go between the two. I do want to say a special thanks to my friends here at Holmes Honda for loaning me both of these trucks for the day to show them to you and see what you think about, well, comparing these two to one another. I also want to say a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel just yet, please consider doing so. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.